Hey, this is Mark A. Altman.
Hey, this is DAREN DOCHTERMAN.
Hey, this is Ashley Miller.
This is Peter Brady.
And we are the Inglorious Treksperts.
Oh my God.
When it's time to change, you've got to rearrange who you are into who you're gonna be. Sha-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. Sha-na-na-na-na. Okay.
I was going to say, I have a face made for audio podcasting, but now I'm doubting I even have a voice for audio podcasting.
This is our all singing episode.
That's right. Right. Well, of course, because we're joined by the great and super talented Brent Spiner for Domo Arigato, Mr. Roboto. And of course, he opens with the song, As You Would Expect in Oklahoma. So what a great interview this was with Brent Spiner. You know, he has a reputation as being a difficult interview because he's very acerbic and sarcastic, and
right,
you know, doesn't really like talking about the show, right?
And he likes to be the center of attention always, and that is understandable.
Always. Yeah.
And
kind of like us.
We could not have had more fun than we did with Brent Spiner at GalaxyCon Oklahoma City. He was terrific, and he was game, and he was funny and charming, and it was so much fun, wasn't it?
It was great,
especially when he kicks DAREN right in the teeth.
Well,
you took it like a mensch, dude.
I gave as good as I got.
As you'll see when you listen, DAREN gave as good as he got, and it was great because he said it with you don't see he said it with a glimmer in his eye.
Oh, yeah.
And so it was but DAREN was willing to play along,
he
and
was testing you, DAREN.
It was great, and I have to tell you, I don't know if you know this, but you know, I heard after the fact that he loved the interview, that he was telling people.
Oh, good.
You know, I heard secondhand from his assistant and from somebody else saying he had such a great time. He was really happy, and you know, so that was nice to hear.
We'll speak more afterwards.
Yeah, because there's more to tell. But
I think it's great to hear it unfold because it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, although I do have to say, you know, we do talk about his book, Fan Fiction, and after listening to this episode, you're intrigued. I strongly recommend, and I normally don't do this, you get the audiobook.
Absolutely.
Because it's read by many of the Trek stars.
It's
really...
Hey.
Let's record a few more of these raps, because you know how I love to do like 20 raps in a night. So
I love raps. They're delicious.
Oh my God.
Sorry.
But it was funny. I highly recommend the audiobook. But it was funny because he was saying, "Oh, I wish the book had done better." But my marketing people, my publicity people, were terrible. And it's really funny because his book was published by the same publisher as most of my books, and I had a similar experience. They were great on 50-Year Mission, and then everything since the publicity, the PR, and the publicity marketing was terrible. So I was going to completely commiserate with Brent, but I figured that would not be interesting to anyone other than him and I. Anyway, well, I think this is such a great interview. We should get right to it. And this is Brent Spiner live from Oklahoma after these brief commercial messages. Hello, Oklahoma City. We're back. I'm Mark A. Altman, showrunner of Pandora, writer, producer, librarians, and co-host of Inglorious Treksperts. I am here with my fellow co-hosts, the associate producer on the Star Trek The Motion Picture Director's Edition and co-host of Inglorious Treksperts, DAREN DOCHTERMAN, and the writer of Thor and X-Men First Class, showrunner of DOTA, Dragon's Blood, and the co-host of Inglorious Treksperts, Mr. Ashley Edward Miller. But we are all here to celebrate the incredible career of the Pied Piper of Astroworld, the man you know as a man of 1,000 faces, a man who needs no introduction. So we will not give him one. It is Brent Spiner.
You're going to be okay. This is a safe space.
Substituting for Mr. Spiner tonight.
Subtitles.
Thank you for coming, everyone.
I gotta say, oh, hey, right. Finally. Is this my seat here? Yeah. Oh. And who are you guys?
We're your friends.
Oh, very good.
Taking you on a journey for the next 45 minutes through your career.
Okay. You know, let me just say something if I could.
Please do.
Are you sure?
Absolutely, 100%.
Thank you. Who's filming? Everybody. Wow. Okay. This morning I got up and I was in my hotel and I opened the shades and I looked out and I thought, there's a bright golden haze on the matter. There's a bright golden haze on the meadow. That's the way it's written, meadow. Yeah. The corn is as high as an elephant's eye, and it looks like they're climbing clear up to the sky. Everybody now. Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. I got a wonderful feeling. Everything's going my way. It's all the Thank you.
I was wondering how long it would be before you broke that one out.
Well, thank you.
You brought top of the show.
You know what? It's just so good to be in Kansas, and I had. Anyway, when the wind comes sweeping down the plain, and the waving wheat can shoot. Well, all right.
That's the finale.
All right, exactly. Dun 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 ho, Oklahoma, where the wind comes. Thank you. So that's a part I'll never play, by the way. Curly in Oklahoma.
Except in maybe in Hebrew school.
Yeah, exactly. I can play Ain't Eller. Anyway.
So welcome.
Thank you.
I want to ask you, back in '68, you were the Pied Piper of Astroworld.
I was.
Tell us a little bit about that early brush with acting.
Well, I tell you what happened. I was working at Astroworld. When the park opened, it's now closed. It's gone now. But when it opened in 1960, probably 70, something like that, they hired me and some friends of mine to be gunfighters. We did gunfight shows, and it was '68. I'll tell you why, because all of a sudden, well, a terrible thing happened was Robert F. Kennedy was killed, and while we were doing the show, it was that summer. And so the people who owned Astroworld thought they'd make a big show of us retiring the gunfights, and they brought out cameras and the news and all of that, and we all threw our guns into a wheelbarrow, and it was over, and we were out of work. And we were really disappointed because it was a good gig. So my friend and I, a gentleman by the name of Trey Wilson, fantastic actor. He's no longer with us, unfortunately, but he was, you might know him. If you've ever seen the movie Bull Durham, he played the manager of the team in Bull Durham. He was also in Raising Arizona. He was Mr. Arizona, whose baby got kidnapped. And anyway, he was fantastic. And so he and I were very good friends, and we wrote a medicine show, Dr. Featherflower's medicine show. And the guys who were producing all the live action at the park really liked it, so they built a wagon for us, a medicine wagon, and some of the other guys who were playing gunfighters, who were no longer employed, played different characters in the whole Dr. Featherflower's routine that we did. And then they did a TV special at Astroworld, the Pied Piper of Astroworld, and it was Soupy Sales and Leslie Gore, the singer Leslie Gore, and the Muppets. And my friend Trey was the #1 medicine man. I played a different character, but I alternated with him, and I would play the medicine man some days, and he would play it other days. And he was off at college by then, and so I got to play the medicine man on this TV special, The Pied Piper of Astroworld. And it was because of that one episode of television that they cast me on Star Trek from playing Dr. Featherflower. Dr. Featherflower's famous elliptical pendorical something or other. I can't remember it anymore. But
we need to find this guy who played this role all those years ago, and bring him into our family. It's really a wonderful thing that you did.
Is that a Gene Roddenberry impression? God, that was really bad. Yeah, could you do it again for me?
I'll try and do it as bad. You know, Brent, when we are on this new starship and you are trying to be, human and wonderful to everybody, you don't need to be as human as you think you're going to be.
Very good. Do you do anyone else? Do you do Bob Hope or anything? No. Have you been doing that a long time? Did you ever meet Gene?
I did.
Oh, did you?
I did.
And did he talk to you like that?
Sort of.
Yeah.
So it's wonderful to meet you. That's so great. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not really that bad, actually. It's.
I want to know other people who do Gene Roddenberry. There aren't any.
No, I was going to say you do the best Gene Roddenberry I've heard so far.
I want to ask you, so many, actors who've played these iconic roles have written memoirs, and it's really interesting because you've had this incredible career. Character actors, you've been on Broadway, you've been in these brilliant musicals, you played this iconic role in Star Trek, and yet you chose not to write a memoir. Instead, what you did was you wrote fan fiction, which isn't even Romana Clef. Maybe a little bit.
A little.
Yeah, and what was sort of the impetus for that for you, and sort of putting the spin, taking some of the truth, a little fantasy, a little stalker action, and this melange of truth-telling?
I don't know. It just hit me. An agent, a literary agent, went to my manager and said, hey, we're interested in Brent Spiner writing his memoir. And apparently memoirs sell very well. And I said, well, they asked me, would you write a memoir? And I said, no, I really don't want to do that. But I have another idea. And I had this idea of this story, which was semi-true. Has anybody read fan fiction here? Come on, you have not. Really? More people in this audience have read it than, this is all my sales right here. It's fantastic. Well, you should get a second copy. Anyway, a lot of it's true and a lot of it's not true. And that's sort of what I wanted to do, is tell the story and not get sued, And so I literally had to say that none of it is true, so I would not get sued.
What parts of it are true?
I can't tell you, but I will say this. The parts you think are not true are true. And the parts you think are true are not true. And I sprinkled in a little of my actual childhood and memories in it, but like Patrick really did do A Christmas Carol, and we really did all go see it, and there were things like that were true in it, and And one, well, major kind of what kicks off the whole book was actually true. But, you know, a lot of it's not.
Was it interesting to you to sort of exercise that muscle? Because you have mostly made a career as an actor, but you've also come up with stories for episodes. You've never shown interest in really directing, no. But you wrote this book, and how was that for you, you know, creatively?
Oh, it was great. You know, there was also it was in the middle of the pandemic, and there was no work. So I thought I need to do something, and so I said, you know, I'm finally going to. Well, what happened was, when I told these people that I wanted to do this book instead of a memoir, they said, well, the literary agent said, I don't know if we can sell that, and he shopped it around, and finally somebody bought it, and I thought, oh my gosh, I have to do this now. So that's what really pushed me to do it, was we got paid, and I had to deliver. And but it was fun. I had a really good time doing it. And I wrote, a friend of mine helped me edit it, and she contributed things as well. She was a wonderful writer named Jeannie Darst, who collaborated with me on it. And but yeah, it was great. It was really fun, and I had something to do every day.
And it was so clever to do a book that was a roman à clef, unlike, say, Patrick, who did a memoir where some things were true and some things weren't true.
Right.
So
even though he says they're all true, no, that, you know what, they come close. When you write a memoir, as Patrick did, that's his memory of it, and I think it really is. I don't think he was making up anything. I think that's the way he remembered it. There are moments in it that I remember differently than he did, but
it's Rashomon.
It's Rashomon, really, but it is his memoir, so it has to be his memories of it.
That's that great quote from Robert Evans. You know, there's your truth, my truth, and the actual truth, and no one is lying.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. I have to say, you know, one of the reasons I didn't want to write a memoir is I read a lot of memoirs and biographies and things like that, and the part that least interests me always are the first two chapters, which are my parents or my grandparents came to this country and blah, 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 and then my parents did this. And 2 chapters worth of the parents who I don't really care about. I want to get to your story. But I have to say, having read Patrick's book, I found the first 2 chapters really fascinating because I knew about the other stuff, but I had no idea what he'd gone through to get from literally Dickensian poverty to a knight of the realm. You know, it was quite a journey.
And I have to say, if you already have the book, get the audiobook, because it is really fun.
On fan fiction.
Yes.
Yeah, don't get Patrick's.
No.
Yeah, no.
Do you do a Gene Roddenberry imitation in the audiobook? Or?
You know, I should have, because Gene Roddenberry is in the book, and I could have gotten you to do Gene's voice. Yeah. But everybody in the book, those of you who've read it, which is half the audience, everybody did their own voices, all the cast of Next Generation who were in the book. Yeah.
And they sounded like they were having a lot of fun. Was it hard to rope them in? I mean, you know, obviously they're going to do you the favor and they're getting, but were they like, what is this? What are we doing?
You know what? Nobody had a problem with it. Everybody was really great and said, sure, we'll do it. And you know, they showed up in different times and did their parts.
Is there, in not writing a memoir, a sense of like imposter syndrome? I mean, this publishers, we brought you Winston Churchill and FDR and Brent Spiner's new memoir. So,
well, yeah. I mean, have I earned a memoir? Really? I mean, probably not.
Well, it's interesting because you've done all these memorable things on stage and, you know, on screen, and then writing about them. Is that something, because you don't really like to look back? You've talked about how you don't go back and sort of watch old television that you've done or anything like that. So it must be weird, like even going back, it's more synthesizing those memories. Yeah,
well, what it was because the book is set in the 3rd season of Next Generation, it was fun for me because I was able kind of to be young again, and I had to think as my 35-year-old self or whatever I was then. I think I was. Did somebody laugh over there? Okay, 38 or whatever it was. 42. Okay. 90. Oh, no. Anyway, it allowed me to think in the mind of who I was, And a lot of people said, some of the reviews, not the reviews were all very decent. The ones I got, I didn't get many reviews. I don't know why. The publicity team at Macmillan just didn't really push it. And so I didn't get, and it was pandemic, and I couldn't go out and do signings and things like that. And, but what was I talking about? My book, I think.
Yeah, but I want to ask you about that era, because you were so successful on stage and doing Sondheim and really having a great deal of success in the New York theater scene. What was the impetus, maybe other than money, or was it the money to go out to Hollywood and try and make it in television and film?
Well, I mean, I would have been happy to make it in television and film in New York, but that was a whole other ballgame, and there was fewer things then to do, and I'd been doing theater for 11 years in New York at that point, and I thought I really need to start living like an adult, because theater doesn't pay anything, and you basically live like a college student, If you're lucky, you can live alone. I don't think you could do that anymore in New York and be broke. In my day, you could still get a studio apartment in a not so desirable part of town and live by yourself. But I don't think you can do that anymore.
Because there are no not desirable parts of town in New York anymore.
Well, there's that. And there are no affordable apartments in New York anymore for anybody.
So when you came out to L.A., what was that like? I mean, you were getting cast on episodics. You were bopping around from show to show as a guest star.
Yeah.
What was your experience? And could you have ever imagined, getting, a lead on a TV series that would ultimately became what it became?
Well, I don't think there's any other series that you could be on that would become what it became, what Star Trek is. I mean, Star Trek's the great American epic. It goes on and on and on forever, and hopefully it will. It seems to be doing that. And sci-fi has changed a lot since then, too. I mean, there wasn't a lot of, I think when I started, Star Wars, of course, had already happened, but that was a one-time deal. 3 movies and it was it. Star Trek and sci-fi in general, nobody was doing sci-fi. Nobody took it seriously, really. As opposed to now, when everybody's doing sci-fi. It's really kind of amazing. I was watching one of the talk shows last night, and Jennifer Lopez was on, and she's got a sci-fi movie opening this weekend. And I was like, everybody is doing it. It's incredible. I had no expectation of that. I just wanted to get a job. And even doing guest shots was fun. And I figured sooner or later I'd have a series, but I didn't know it was going to be one that would last for 40 years for me.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I guess yesterday was the 30th anniversary of All Good Things airing. And you have so many times where a movie star becomes a movie star because they're playing themselves. John Wayne is the same in every movie.
Right.
But you have this facility with different characters that you've not only made an icon of Data, but you've been able to go on, whether it's you get a call from Rick Berman, come and do Enterprise, or now on Picard, come and do this role and that role. So that is a real gift, I would think.
Well, it's been a real gift to me that if you're going to be, I don't mean stuck on a series, because it's been a gift to be on part of the Star Trek epic, but that I've gotten to play so many different characters within it. There's no other show I could have done that, where My thing that I always wanted to do was as many different characters as I could possibly do. That was my idea when I decided to be a professional actor. And I got to do that for quite a while. And then I got the series, and I thought, there was a guy, I can't remember his name, but he directed one of the very early episodes of the show, and he said, if this thing goes 7 years, you're going to want to blow your brains out. And I said, why? And he said, because you have, you're an actor, you can't express anything in this part. And I thought, I'm thinking it's not going to go that way. And I said, I think it's going to be a part that I can do all kinds of things. And it did wind up being that, and it spun other characters. And so I could, to be in one show, I couldn't have asked for more, because I got to do that thing I always wanted to do, was play a variety of characters.
And in Fistful of Datas, you got to call on your Astro World training, all that.
Exactly,
So
exactly.
That was
I
good.
was a gunfighter again, and I already knew how to do it.
When you first got cast in the role, did you look at other sort of these performances as automatons, whether it be going back to Metropolis or making Mr. Right at the time, or was Malkovich? Was there anything you looked at as an influence? You said, I'm just doing my own thing. I'm not going to be influenced by what was happening in the genre.
Well, in fact, my dream when I was young was to be the Buster Keaton of my time. And as it turned out, I was the Buster Crabbe of my time, and so that was fine, It was no, I didn't. I think the beauty of the character of playing Data, of playing an android in 1987, was that I could do anything I wanted to do because there was no real precedence for it. It wasn't like. And nobody was writing me and saying, oh, you know what, an android wouldn't do that. Because nobody knew what an android would do, so I could do anything I wanted to do.
What was the impetus for your performance as Jeff Oken in Independence Day?
Well, I wasn't Jeff Oken.
You were.
No, no, I was Brackish Oken.
Right.
But it was based. The name Oken was based on Jeff Oken. Jeff Oken was a special effects guy.
Visual effects supervisor.
Yeah, who had done Stargate with Roland Emmerich and Dean Devlin. And so they named my character after him and made him Dr. Oken.
And they made you look exactly like him.
I've never seen Jeff.
He looks exactly like your character.
Because what's weird about that is I'm the one who asked for the long hair.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I didn't even know. I said, when they cast me, the very first day they cast me, I said, can I have really long hair? And they picked up the phone and called a wig maker, and it was done. But I've spoken to Jeff Oken, but not about Independence Day.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Were you surprised to get the call for the sequel, knowing that you had died in the previous movie? Spoiler alert.
I have a history of doing that. I die, and you can be almost certain I'll be back. I think that's why I probably won't be playing Data again, because I didn't die again this time, the end of Picard. But I was sort of surprised and then not really surprised. I was surprised how long they took to do it. And I've been pushing, it was 20 years exactly, summer to summer, that from Independence Day to the second one. And I was really happy to be back. And my part was even better, but not the movie wasn't necessarily, but I've been pushing them. I've been trying to convince. I talked to Dean Devlin about it, and he thought it was a great idea, but there seems to be difficulty in convincing. Disney owns Independence Day now because they bought 20th Century Fox, and but I had this idea for doing like a 10-part series called Area 51, and playing Dr. Oken for 10 episodes that would sort of bookend the last movie to the next movie. And the TV people thought it was a great idea at Disney, but the film people apparently said, but we have it, we own it. And so they weren't really willing to let go of it or entertain the idea of a series. And
was it mostly your character looking at a screen and saying, "No, nothing yet," and then having lunch?
That's probably what I was going to do. Yeah,
I'm almost tempted to call Steve Asbell right now and get him on the phone at Fox and have
him on the
Brent
spot.
and who's playing Dr. Oaken? Yeah. We got Brent right here.
Really, I know I could talk Goldblum into doing an episode or two, and I just think it would be it's a no-brainer, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean, really, because the second movie, for all of you who saw it, I think more people read fan fiction here than saw. But for all of you who saw it, I had the last line in the movie, which was, "Let's go kick some alien ass," and which was indicating that we were going to go there. And that's what the series would be, is the build up to the third movie where we actually go to where the aliens live. Yeah, I mean, come on. It's a no-brainer.
Well, Steve Asbell, this will be airing on the podcast.
That's right, he'll hear
He's a
it.
longtime listener, studio head.
So call him while we're recording the wraparounds. And
And you tell him you can get me for a small fortune.
oh, we're going to definitely do it.
Yeah.
It's interesting because this is obviously a great idea. During the making of Star Trek, Michael and the team, and because it was 26 episode seasons, we're not very interested, let's be polite, in hearing what the actors had to say. By the time the features come around, you have a lot more power. You help bring John Logan in on Nemesis.
Yeah.
Was that something that you really embraced, that role of and having more creative inputs and power?
Well, you know what? It went through a weird sort of evolution, because when we first were, the first couple of seasons, really was it just the first season? It may have gone even into the second season. We had, every episode, we had a lunch meeting in, with Rick and Gene and sometimes not Gene, but Bob Justman and whoever else, Maurice Hurley, and we would say what we liked about the scripts or what we wanted to, and I think they got really fed up with listening to us, because I think there was a specific moment where Jonathan Frakes said, "This is the worst hack job I've ever read," and that was the last time we had a lunch meeting. And after that, we also had little things like sometimes I would read things and think, "I just doesn't feel right," and I would call Rick Berman, who was our producer, who really is an amazing producer. He did like 600-700 episodes of Star Trek, incredible. But I would call him and I'd say, "Rick, I don't think this works." I said, "What if I do this?" And I would, or say this, and he would say the original line, and then he would say my line, and he'd go, "No, just do it like we wrote it." And I, all right, and I got the idea finally to start doing that. I would call from Patrick's trailer, and I would call, and I'd get that response, and then I'd hang up, and then Patrick would be there, and he would say, we'd wait 2 or 3 minutes, and then Patrick would call, and he'd say, "Rick, I don't think this moment quite works," and he says. And he would say, "Can you think of anything else we could do or say?" And then Rick would say my thing, and then Patrick, "Oh yes, that's very good." And
Was that Patrick Stewart?
No, that was my Roddenberry. And we would get that in that way. Okay, so then it got to a point really where the writing was so good. We had Ron Moore and Brannon writing and Mike Pillar, and it just got to be really excellent. Renee Echeverria and Joe Minoski, and just really terrific writers. And so we kind of went, well, look, I got this thing in mind. I got tired of calling and being, turned down for my ideas, and so I thought, okay, well, I'm just gonna say anything they write, and I'll figure out a way to do it. And you know what? In the end of the day, that worked pretty well. They never, ever called me and said, we don't like the way you played that. Can you do it again? Shoot it again because it didn't work. They let me play it the way I wanted to, and I let them write it the way they wanted to, and that worked out fine. And then when we got into the features, well, we had more input, but it wasn't easy. It really wasn't. I mean, we really had to struggle for it, and until Nemesis, when I brought John in, and look how that worked out. No, but John Logan is still really one of the writers of film, television, theater. He's got, he wrote the Moulin Rouge stage play that's like all over the world now, and he just finished writing the Michael Jackson story, the film of that, and so many things. John's done amazing work.
He's an Oscar winner, a Tony winner.
Yeah, I mean he's an A-list writer.
So do you think, I'm sorry, that there's something specific about writing Star Trek?
Yeah, there must be. I don't know what it is, but
Like when you would read a script.
but he was a fan. John was a huge fan. And I will say this, we wrote a different story together, John and I did, and we presented that to Rick, and he didn't want to do it. He didn't think it worked because it was an alternate universe story, and he just said, I've never liked alternate universe stories, but so it didn't happen. But
We are going to open it up to audience questions, so you might want to start
please line up with
lining
the
up.
mic.
Yes, beyond that
I think
microphone.
you talk about John being a fan, but Stuart Baird, who was the director, was not. And
correct.
he was sort
And
of
that
a
was a
studio
problem. I mean, Stuart Baird, who directed Nemesis, he met with each of us individually before we started shooting. And when I met with him, he said to me, listen, I don't want to fix the wheel. I want to, respect this genre and what you guys have done, and I'm going to do Star Trek the best I can. And the first day on the set, he says, I'm going to show you how Star Trek should be shot. And we went, uh-oh.
At last.
At last, yeah. And let me say about Stuart, he is one of the greatest editors ever. He edited films that it's the editing that made the films. And he's quite brilliant, really. But he just tried to reinvent Star Trek, and that really wasn't a great idea, I don't think.
I know you have a lot of questions. We're going to try and get through it quickly because we're already running out of time. Go ahead.
Hi.
Hi. Okay, gotta go. No, go ahead. Sorry.
My name is Alyssa, and I was just wondering, what was it like to work with Spot?
Spot. Well, there were 3 Spots, Two of them were among the worst actors I've ever worked with. They could not take direction. I know that some of you are cat owners, and you just don't say, and the writers would write these purposefully, write these impossible things for a cat to do, but we did have one eventually. The Spot of the features was sort of the Daniel Day-Lewis of cats.
He was a
I
method.
think-
More money to hire a better cat.
That cat actually can also make shoes, which is amazing. Okay, I figured you'd like that one.
Thank you.
Never work with kids and animals.
Yep.
So, other than Data, which version of you on Star Trek did you like playing? There's Soong, Lore, etc.
Well, I always liked playing Lore because he's so much like me. I'm allowed to let the real evil of myself come out, and also I enjoyed playing all of the Soongs. Some of them were more successful than others. I think the second season of Picard wasn't the greatest thing ever done, but I did have a moment in it where Adam Sung hits Captain Picard with a car. I thought it was one of the finest moments of my career. I mean, yeah. I was like, what? Why is he hitting me?
Thank you.
Hi.
Hey.
Some of my favorite Next Generation episodes were the ones like Fistful of Datas and Brothers, where you play multiple characters. And I believe at one point in the past, when asked about how it was playing multiple characters in the same episode, you said something like you enjoyed it because you got to work with the best actors. But I was just wondering how difficult it was to actually act and talk to a character who wasn't there yet.
Well, I do that in my own life. So it wasn't that hard, really. But they had different technologies through the years for doing that. You know, data lore was the first time I did it. And that was just regular split screen. I would talk to an empty space, and then I would come back and they'd refilm it, and I'd talk to another empty space. And then magic would happen, and we'd be talking together.
Did they ever give you a playback to go against?
The only playback I had was when they did motion control, which is really difficult. Because you have to not just imagine where the person is, but you have to imagine where their eyes are so that you're actually talking to them and seeing them. But it's just imagination, you know. It's not that hard.
Thank you.
For regular people.
And then by seventh season, you're playing like 20 different characters in Masks.
Yeah, Masks. Masks was one of those episodes that, you know, it has better sort of. It's survived better than I thought it would, because it really is some of the most preposterous acting I've ever done in my life. And on the set, while we were doing it, I can remember Marina and Colomini laughing at me. And I mean, literally, I would be doing a scene and they'd be going, and I go, come on! And because I'd gotten the script the night before, and I had to figure out how to do 5 characters instantly. There was no time to even read the script, just do it. And at the end of that entire episode, the last scene was Patrick and me, and we were wearing masks, and we were laughing at each other, and the crew was furious because it was 2 o'clock in the morning, and we could not get through a scene because we'd laugh at each other. It was ridiculous, but, you know.
Okay, so everybody asked me a question about you doing multiple characters. So I have two favorite episodes of Next Generation that you did Data in, because I feel like it expressed the range. So the first one is the most toys, where at the end, Data's had enough, and when the transporter beam goes, he's fired that phaser.
Yeah, I was there.
I know you were there.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know. Some people can't remember episodes and tie it together.
Yeah,
The
I
other
know.
one, I don't remember the episode, but your character Data went and asked Picard. Everybody else is getting a ship because you're doing the
Dance? No.
no, not the
What am I
dance.
doing?
With the ships, not boycott, but where you're trying to keep the Romulans from
Blockade.
The blockade.
the blockade. Thank you. I knew it was a B word.
Yeah.
And Data has to go ask, basically goes to Captain Picard, says, well, everybody else that's a senior officer has a ship. Do you not trust me? And he puts Data on the ship. And then Data gets a lot of pushback from somebody that should be doing that. How hard was that for you to show a range of Data where he was growing like that? What did you draw on that? Because that was some real leadership at that episode. That's what struck me so much.
You know, I don't remember that episode. In fact, I don't remember any of them. I've only seen about 10 episodes of the show, so maybe 12. But so when people I remember, what was the first one you mentioned? Oh, Most Toys. I remember that one because I was working with my friend Saul Rubinek, And that was also a really bizarre episode because Saul wasn't originally playing Kivas Fajo. I can't believe I remember that name.
That's what you remember? Yeah, because David Rappaport had died.
David Rappaport had been playing the role, and we shot for 2 days, and then it was the weekend, and when we came back on Monday, we found that he had taken his life over the weekend. And the director happened to be a Canadian, and he said, well, we had to start over, of course, and the director said, I think I know somebody who can play this part. And I said, well, I know someone who can play the part. And it turned out we both had the same idea. He was a friend of Saul's, and so was I. And then he came and did it. So I remember that episode, but I don't remember an episode where there was a blockade. I don't remember.
That's okay. That's why I couldn't remember the word. I was just more struck by you were able to really like pull some gumption out of Dave.
Well, you know what? I was just drawing on my own leadership qualities.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey.
Hi, I'm Rocky.
Hi, Rocky.
So, first I want to thank you because I really appreciate your humor. I'm not sure what it says about me, but I do.
It speaks well of you, Rocky. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. The question I have for you is, you know, data is pretty much, I think, what we would consider the pinnacle of AI. And AI is a big deal right now.
Yeah.
And I'm really curious about what your opinion is about it. Is AI part of our evolution as humanity? Is it something to be feared? What do you think?
Can data draw hands?
I mean, all of those things, you know, it's AI it's here to stay. It's not going anywhere. They're not going to be able to stop it. And yes, it's dangerous, but it's also fantastic. I mean, it's gonna change the world. It really is. In so many positive ways, and if we can just control ourselves, it won't destroy civilization the way we know it. But it's capable of doing that, but you know, it's all a reflection of who we are anyway, you know? I mean, the idea that humans are very capable of destroying each other, which is really, really tragic. You know, we've evolved so far in so many ways, you know, science and technology and medicine and comfort, and we've made it such an easy world to actually live in, and we're still killing each other. And it's like, what? We have not evolved as creatures beyond, you know, being barbarians. It's crazy. And you know, I think that whatever AI becomes ultimately is going to be a reflection of us. So, and I say that having been the poster boy for AIs, and I do think they should all look like me, frankly. And I should get a royalty for every one of them.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rocky.
Hello. I'd like to just say first that Mr. Data is the best character in Star Trek of all time.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. You know, ironically, we have that thought in common. No, thank you. That's very kind of you.
My question is, you had an episode where you were in the, what's it called?
Holodeck?
Holodeck, yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Where you were, you programmed to Joe Piscopo to teach you jokes and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, because I found the episode really hilarious. Have you ever thought about maybe doing stand-up at all?
You know what? I kind of wish I had when I was younger, because I didn't realize, when I was a young guy, I went to New York to be an actor. I studied acting. I thought what you do is you get in the theater, and then you know, build a body of work, and then you get to do great things. I didn't know that if you were a stand-up comedian, you were then going to be getting leads in movies. I would have definitely done that. It's the most difficult of all the fields, by the way, because you're so vulnerable. You're standing there going, please. If you don't laugh at a stand-up comedian, it means you don't like him. Really, that's the way they take it. They don't like me. If you don't like what I do on Star Trek, well, it could be the script. It could be you didn't like Nemesis. It wasn't my fault. It was, but you can't get around it as a stand-up. It's really, really, I'll tell you what, I'm going to make, has everybody seen Baby Reindeer? The Life of the Stand-Up. Ooh, dark and scary. Anyway.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, I hope I can get through this because I have horrible stage fright. But hello from my 51-year-old self.
Hi.
But definitely hello from my 17-year-old self sitting on a couch in 1989 in San Diego.
Ah.
So that.
Hi.
Hi.
I actually saw you through the TV.
Yeah.
I could see you sitting there.
Actually, I saw you in Malibu once, and I just couldn't come up to you. But anyways, it was just so wonderful being kind of a weird teenager in San Diego in '89 to really connect with Star Trek and your character. But one of the things that I was thinking about was, as I was driving here, I can't picture any other person than Mr. Spiner doing Data. And, I just was trying to picture what other actor could even have done what I loved so much. And I was thinking when you talked about your audition process, was what else was in your audition process, and was there anybody else who was up for the role?
Yeah. I had auditioned 6 times, and there were other people who were being considered. That previously mentioned Daniel Day-Lewis. No, he was not. No, but there were, I walked into a room and there was a room full of actors the first time who were all reading for Data. And I could tell you a long story about that day, but I won't do it. Yeah. I mean, someday I'll do a panel and I'll just keep going for like 3 or 4 hours. And we'll serve lunch too. Yeah. So, yeah.
Anyways, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Brent should have been teaching Joe Piscopo how to tell jokes, but anyway, this is the last question because we're out of time. So
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Brent will be at his booth, and you can come get his autograph. And if you have other questions or if you have crippling stage fright, you can talk to him at his booth. But let's do one last question.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Spiner.
No pressure, but it better be good. Yeah.
I think. So anyway, how did you decide not to become an actor? What would have been your second career choices?
I think I would have liked to have been maybe like a diplomat. I'm seriously,
okay.
I think I don't like people to fight, and I would like to sort of like help people not do that.
Secretary of State.
If you insist, maybe even president, right? No, that's LeVar. LeVar's going to be president.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Didn't mean to laugh.
I'll be his Secretary of State.
Since this is the first GalaxyCon in Oklahoma City, they have a tradition of taking a selfie at the front of the stage. So Brent's going to stand here. You guys all stand behind him, and they'll take one giant group selfie. Thank you so much to Brent Spiner.
Okay, we're back. That was Brent Spiner live from Oklahoma City. And Oklahoma was okay with him.
He made sure that everyone got the correct wording of the lyrics to Oh, What a Beautiful Morning. Thank goodness. Because there's a bright golden haze on the Metter.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Mm-hmm. That's how it's written, Metter.
Yeah.
For that serial killer musical.
I walked by his booth at one point and I just started singing, "Poor Judd is dead, poor Judd Fry is dead," and he didn't continue it with me, but he smiled.
Well, that was just gas.
Well, that's funny because that's how you bonded with Frakes. Because when we first went to dinner with John, you didn't really know him. Obviously, I'd worked with him. I knew him really well. You had worked with him briefly.
I worked with him briefly,
but you didn't. but you bonded over show tunes.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Heterosexual.
Nothing brings men together more than show tunes.
I was going to say, I've never seen so many straight men singing show tunes as at that dinner that night.
You just don't hang around with the right crowd, apparently.
Oh, it was delightful. It was.
But sometimes people can enjoy show tunes, no matter what their orientation is, and it's really wonderful to connect with someone on that basis, and other ways, of course.
Okay. Well, look, let's get this Brent. Let's get this Brent stuff out of the way because we got some important stuff to talk about, guys.
Oh shit.
Darren's shaking his head. What do you mean? What do you
We
mean?
don't know.
What do you mean?
We don't know where he's going, people.
Hey,
He's going somewhere.
boo boo.
Aye.
Yeah, I am. Because I
is.
know people are sitting wondering how was the food in Oklahoma City.
Ah, yes.
Food.
Well, now I know where the expression fair to Midland comes from. So
Yeah, and we weren't even in Midland, Texas.
let's talk a little bit about it.
Or
It
Texas.
was a very, because you would think in Oklahoma City the meat would be very good. In Oklahoma, we're in the heartland of America, right? Well, we had steak 3 nights in a row.
We did.
Starting with a really wonderful meal at Stock and Bond. Yes.
Oh, okay.
I'm saving the other place for the other episode.
All right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay, because that we involved the guests. So just go with me on this. So we had a meal. I didn't say it was our first meal. I said we had our first steak meal.
First steak meal.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, but he can't listen, so he ruined the whole thing. But so it's like I actually prepare for these guys. So anyway, we went to Stock and Bond, and
highly regarded and highly touted.
Yeah.
Well, because our waiters were Goose and Maverick.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, they weren't Goose and Maverick. They were a guy named Goose, and he was his trainee crew. It was not Peter Preston. It was a guy. I don't know what his name was. He was so nice because he came up very daintily when Goose, who was training him, was away. When he was left alone, and he goes, "So guys, are you like here for like something special?" And we're like, "Yeah, we're here for," because he saw we were with Terry and Nicole DeBoer. He goes, "Yeah, we're here for the Galaxy Con." He says, "Oh," and he was like, "Really? Is that right? And you're here for the convention?" He goes, "I want to go to that." And he goes, "So are you people?" "Yeah, we're people, all right." He goes, "No,
And we're Soylent Green.
Do I know you?" I said, "Well, you might know them. That's Terry Farrell, who was in Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and this is Nicole DeBoer, who played Terry Farrell in Deep Space Nine." And he goes, "Oh my gosh! And what about you guys?" And I said, "Well, we're writers, so you won't care." And then Darren over there is in the bathroom. He's a concept designer and a producer, and
He's doing that in the bathroom.
So he was like, oh, and then Goose came back and he disappeared, but he was so nice. So they were both really amazing. I said, I remember when he introduces, "I'll be your waiter tonight. My name is Goose," and I'm like in Top Gun. So, but I don't know if he knew what I was talking about, but I guess he did. I said, "Okay, we're going to play volleyball after this," but that meal, I know, Darren, you didn't have the greatest meal. Mine was superb.
Yeah, I mean, everyone else had a great meal.
Everyone had a great meal.
My
Nicole
filet was slightly off.
Nicole DeBoer had never had the Treksperts experience,
right?
So she got to, and it was funny because I think she was like, "Ooh, is this what the Treksperts experience is? I like this Treksperts experience."
The Trekspert experience. That's gonna be the title of our book about our adventures. The Trekspert experience.
And and that was she was sitting next to Scott Mantz, so she really had a good time. She must have really had a good time.
Well, between Scott Mantz and Ashley, she was bombarded.
Yeah, she was.
I am a delight.
Well, she really got. I could see the two of you really hit it off because you were chattering away. And
totally. She's lovely. Just had a nice little conversation about dogs and daughters.
Yeah, I found her delightful. I mean, obviously, Terry now is a friend for all of us for a long time. We love Terry. And I was so glad to see how the two of them really, have this great affection for each other, and they're so terrific together. But
it was a great night at Stock and Bond.
Yeah, unfortunately, The following night was not. So the next night we go, what was it called? Bob's Chop House at the Omni.
Yes.
So we go, it's a long day at the convention, and we come back and we had reservations. We're here from a bunch of people. Oh, this Bob's Chop House is the steak place. You got to go there. So we go. We get a really nice room for us. Scott Mance joined us again. We were lucky enough to have Scott with us, who was in town on a project and then we were waiting for to be joined by some other people. So we sit down, and the waitress, she recommends the onion rings, which were actually quite good. It was all very promising to start. And then we place our order,
and the wheels fell off the bus.
And we wait. And we wait, like in Casablanca. We wait and we wait and we wait.
No, Casablanca was only 90 minutes.
Yeah. So it's like literally like almost 2 hours, and we're like finally, we're like, excuse us. Are we likely to see dinner anytime in the next foreseeable future? And she says, let me check with the kitchen. She seemed concerned, and she comes back and she's, they're plating it now. Great. Half hour later, we still don't have our
nothing.
Food. No. Nothing.
It's,
biggest plate ever.
Huge plates.
So I'm like, I'm sure she forgot to put the ticket in. I'm convinced. But we don't know for sure. So then the food comes, and it's all rare as can be.
Yeah.
And
whether or not it was ordered that way.
Clearly they had thrown it on the grill and just were rushing to get it to us. So whether the kitchen is screwed up or not. So she comes to us, and as first she asks us how it is. We haven't touched it yet, so we're like, we don't know
yet. The knives haven't
you know.
even pierced the flesh of the meat.
So she comes back like 10 minutes later. How is it? And we're like, well, to be honest, it's really rare. It's really undercooked. Does she say sorry? Does she apologize? Did she offer to bring it back to put it on the grill? She walks off. She literally does not know what to do with that.
Yeah.
So we figure, maybe she's going to get her manager. Maybe the manager's going to come and apologize.
Nope.
Manager never comes.
No.
No one comes. She doesn't come until she says, "Would you like dessert?" And she gives us dessert menus. And at that point, you figure she's going to say, we'd like to give you dessert on the house. We apologize. This is not our usual. Nothing. We're like, no, we're not going to have dessert. We just bring us a check at this point. No apology, still nothing. She brings us the check, doesn't say another word to us. So we leave. I was fucking apoplectic. I was so mad. All I wanted was a sorry or an acknowledgement that we had this very expensive meal and that they had completely screwed it up.
Mm-hmm.
And but we got none of that. And it was really, really disappointing. Because again, it's not about the make good or about anything. It was just about acknowledging the fact that we, and if she had said to us, "Hey,
everyone
guys,
can have an off night."
Totally. Yeah. All she had to say was, "I forgot to put the ticket in. I'm sorry." And we would have been like, "No problem." I totally understand. Or the kitchen screwed up. No problem. It was by not acknowledging, just basically rebuffing us completely and like pretending it didn't happen.
And
that
insulting our intelligence.
She invalidated our pain.
And plus, it just ruined my night because I was so fucking pissed off.
Well, it ruined your day, half day, the next day.
I know, because I was still, I was still complaining about the next morning. I was so angry. And the only person who wasn't complaining was Scott Mance. He was just happy to be with adults. So,
sort of.
He was happy to be able to talk to people who knew what metamorphosis was.
There you go.
So we had such a good time with Scott. It's always great to have Scott around. And so, so that was really disappointing. But it's not over yet, Flyboy, because the next day, the last day of the convention, we finally had a meal that I think we all loved.
Yes.
And that was Red Prime.
Yes.
Yes.
Red Prime was in an old car dealership. And they along Automobile Row, it's all these old car dealerships from the 30s and 40s. And it looked like a Cylon base star. It was all lit, or Sith Lord's domain. It was all like these red lightsabers or stuff. But again, we got a great little nook to eat in. It was a little cold, but that was great, wasn't it?
It was.
Oh yeah. It was amazing. The company was great.
I got the grass-fed sirloin instead of filet, and I thought it was really good. It was perfectly cooked. But you know what they had, which was really nice? They had, for sides, which you don't often see, they had a truffle risotto that I really enjoyed. That was just really on point, as they say.
And for all the steakhouses that we had gone to, none of them had French onion soup until
which was weird.
Red Prime, and we had that, and it was lovely.
Yeah. And the waiter was great. He took the time, and the manager came over and explained the history of the building, which I love that, because when I'm traveling, I love to hear about the history of the locale we're at. And so he was really great. The waiter was terrific. What was his name again? Deshaun or?
No, it was started with a B. Bryson.
Bryson. Yeah, Bryson. Yeah, he was great. He was terrific. He was
Barrick.
He was really he was a great waiter. And it was the whole thing was a really nice evening. Yeah. So we're very, very grateful because we were having a lot of because it was a diner at the hotel called, what was it called? Sweetzers or something? Seltzers, yeah. And we were all done with that place.
Well, we just went there a lot, and
exactly.
Well, plus the service, and it was good. The service there was not great either.
Well, the service across the town was not the greatest. It was uneven.
Hit or miss. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. But it was really, really nice. There was one night I ordered room service. It was pretty good. Yeah. So anyway, but yeah. So anyway, Brent Spiner, really great interview with Brent Spiner. Some good food, some not so good food, and some great food. While we were in Oklahoma City, and we stayed at the Omni. I think overall I like that hotel.
Yeah. It's fine. It's lovely.
Yeah. Although we had to wait for the elevator a little too long a couple times.
Yeah.
I like the smart elevators where you put the floor in and then it figures out
Those
AI
are great.
figures out. So you don't have to sit around
at WonderCon.
Yeah.
WonderCon.
Yeah, what was really funny? The other big convention besides GalaxyCon was the Little League convention. So you had all these people running around, cosplayers and weird stuff and anime and everything. And then you had the Little Leaguers come running around.
Yeah.
One dad was playing catch with his son in the lobby. And I'm kind of like, what are you doing? Like, I think it's great if you want to play cat. I mean, he must have listened to Harry Chapin one too many times.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he's like, I can't miss out on this opportunity to play catch
in the
with
cradle
my son.
And the lobby.
Yeah. So he's like sitting there playing catch. I'm like walking through the lobby. I almost get clocked by a baseball because this guy is playing catch with his son in the middle of the lobby. That was crazy. You know what also was weird? It's such a small town that we got Uber drivers multiple times. We had the same Uber drivers. That was funny. We had some good Uber drivers, though.
We did.
Who was that guy? He said he used to chase tornadoes.
Mark?
He was a character. I like that guy. Mark, yeah. He used to chase tornadoes. He was telling us. I said, you're Bill Paxton. That's awesome.
He's the guy that had the sign, not cash cab on his...
not cash cab. Yeah. I said, have you ever met James Cameron? He goes, no. You never drove James Cameron? No. But he was a good Uber driver. I like that guy. Yeah. Unlike we had a couple of duds Uber drivers, but he was a good one. Yeah.
Them's the breaks.
Because the one I was sure we were going to die. There was one guy with the cracked
windshield. Yeah.
And I was convinced we were dead.
And like the car didn't really feel like it was completely clearing the street. You were just kind of descended towards the pavement.
And it's weird though, because I'm not going to give the guy 5 stars, but what I really should have done is go and give him like 2-3 stars. But I don't feel right doing that.
You don't want to be that guy.
I don't want to be that guy. So I just didn't
get us
rate
there
him at all.
Relatively safe.
Yeah, we didn't die.
And he
a lot.
Plus, he was a nice guy. He was friendly.
Super
Although
nice.
he
The
was
music
playing
was loud.
Oh my God! I mean, who doesn't like "Don't Stop Believing"? But that would have killed Tony Soprano with just freaking like sound. It's like what they used in Cuba on the embassy. I mean, it was like a wall of sound. It was crazy. I mean, he was blasting that thing so loud. I was ready to stop believing. because it was just nuts.
Yes.
But it really wasn't necessary. I like when they don't have the music. They ask you, like, would you like me to have the music on? Is this cool enough? Is the air conditioning at the right level? I like when they ask you. I don't like when you come in, it's like they're oblivious and they just have the music blasting and the climate control is whatever they want. You know, we're the guests, right? You're not by yourself now. You have people are paying to be in your car. So maybe like see what we want.
Wow.
Because it is what we wish to do.
But he didn't want us to stop believing. And that's important.
Clearly did not want us to stop believing. No, he did not. He did not want us to stop believing. But anyway, we had such a great time in Oklahoma City, and we're so grateful to Mike Broder and his entire team that once again took such good care of us. And if you live in that area, you absolutely owe it to yourself next year to go to Oklahoma City. And of course, there's so many great Galaxy Cons coming up this year. Of course, there's San Jose. We're back in Columbus at the end of the year, and then Ashley and I are going to be at Nightmare Weekend in Des Moines, and we're also going to be in Richmond. So you really want to check out these Galaxy Cons because they're fantastic. And it's galaxycon.com, galaxycon.com, and you can go to one of these great events. Plus, Miami. They announced Miami.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You think that Moon over Miami, like maybe they'll have Richard Dreyfuss, Moon over Parador.
Moon over Miami.
Yeah.
But,
maybe they could do Scarface. They should get Steven Bauer in Miami to do Scarface reunion. No, not so much. No. What about Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio? She'd be great.
She'd be great.
Would be great.
I would like to moderate that panel. We talk about Color of Money and Scarface.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. Oh, and The Abyss.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and that.
We'll never talk about.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Except our Uber driver will talk about it. We can tell her about our Uber driver who loves that movie. Maybe then she'd talk about it.
Yeah, maybe.
So I don't know. I don't think Mike wants guest suggestions from us.
No.
So I don't blame him. We don't know what we're talking about.
First you get
amazing
the guests,
people.
Then you get the panels, then you get the convention.
Because he has all these guests that have these huge lines. And we're like, who are they? We don't know who they are. But apparently a lot of other people do because they have huge lines and they're making tons of money. So nobody should listen to us when it comes to guests.
No.
We're like, let's get the cast of Space 1999. It's like,
but you should listen to us when it comes to guests when you attend Trek to Vegas.
Trek to Vegas, yeah.
Trek to
Vegas.
My
God. That's going to be amazing. We put together, so that was something we spent a lot of time on in our downtime in GalaxyCon. It was funny in my hotel room. We had this wall, and it was like a writer's room. We had it covered with the schedule, and we were moving panels around and doing all this stuff and getting it all together. And it was really like being in the writer's room, except we were producing this event, the three of us, and I think it's just going to be extraordinary. So if you haven't made plans to go to Vegas this August, you really owe it to yourself to come, because in addition to the Inglorious Treksperts stage at the DeForest Kelley Theater, there'll be a full 4 days of programming at the on the main stage beyond what we're doing.
Right.
The big pool.
There'll always be something to see. Plus, there's so many good restaurants in Vegas. You will not have to suffer through what we suffered through at Bob's Chop House. Write that down. Bob's Chop House. You never want to go there until we get an apology. Don't go there. Don't even think about it. Let me tell you, when we're in Oklahoma City next year, hopefully if we are invited back, we are not going to Bob's Chop House.
Okay.
There's no way you could get me to go there
again. Way.
Until I get an apology, a written apology. Wow. At this point, an apology, a verbal apology would have sufficed before. Now it has to be a written apology. I don't know about these guys, but that's where I am on the subject.
I want an essay. God damn it.
You want an essay? Okay.
I want an essay.
How many words?
1,000 words at least.
1,000 words.
1,000 words.
Yes. Yeah, that's right.
And also free dessert.
I just think, you know what? There's a valuable lesson. All she had to do was apologize. I just say, I'm sorry. And it would have been done. We would have never talked about it on the podcast. We would have never complained. I just like these people today.
But
they
because
don't
of
understand.
that, she awoke a sleeping giant.
Anyway, I don't want to talk about this anymore because it's overshadowing this amazing trip we had, by dwelling on the negative, which was such a small part of an amazing weekend.
We've got to
amazing 3 days.
The positive, eliminate the negative.
Exactly.
And something
Brent
about the
could have
bare
sang that
necessities
too.
of life. Yeah.
We should just do a panel with Brent where all he does is sing. We just throw songs at him and he just sings.
That'd be fun.
It would be.
Blue skies, nothing but blue skies.
Yeah, we want Brent to sing.
You think he'd sing Domo Arigato, Mr. Roboto?
No.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I don't even know if he knows that. I don't think he can sing sticks.
The modern man.
But you know who can sing sticks? Todd Stashwick.
That's true.
Yeah, so we'll get Todd to sing it.
Todd Stixwick.
Todd was at the convention.
Todd
It was good to
Stixwick.
see him.
Todd
He has a Kickstarter. He has a Kickstarter going now. You should check that out. Always good to see Todd. We actually didn't interview him because we figured we've talked to him so many times. Let somebody else interview him because maybe they'd have different stories. You know, because we've had Todd on the show a bunch of times. We've interviewed him at conventions a bunch of times. We love Todd.
But we're sick of him. What?
Yeah, we're over it.
No,
Todd.
no.
Todd.
Yeah, I'm just jealous that nobody's sending me his action figure that I had to buy it.
Yeah, what the hell? Well, you asked for it and they said no.
I don't know. I'm the only one in America that's not getting free Axo 6 toys. Everyone else is getting them for free.
Heck? I gotta buy him too.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. And who mentions them more than us? Every
Nobody.
week we're plugging Axo 6 and all their great, amazing museum quality replicas.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I want to remove the Altman
What's the
Museum.
deal?
Screw their museum.
Oh man! And plus, I got to tell you, we got listeners we got nothing but gifts this trip. So many great gifts.
Was lovely.
But I would like Exo 6. I would like the Exo 6 stuff. Just certain ones. I don't need everything. You don't have to give me the Voyager crew. I'll be fine. I could do without Neelix. It's okay. I just, that way I don't make so many demands on your production line.
You can get the Neelix and the Tuvok, and you can take the Tuvok head off and put it on the Neelix, and take the Neelix head off and you put it on the Tuvok.
I think I would. You want to hear something crazy? I think I would buy a Tuvix action figure just
Probably.
because I think it's so crazy. I like that episode a lot, but I think it would be so crazy to own one that I think I would have to have it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not even buying Deep Space Nine. I love Deep Space Nine because I can only get so many of these. I only have so much room. I only got so much wall space. So it's like TOS and certain next gens, and obviously the movies. Space. You know, like Saavik and Kruge. You're not even buying Kruge.
I missed Kruge. I didn't have the money at the time, so I couldn't have gotten him. But I'm counting on sneaking over to your place and stealing yours.
Stealing my Kruge?
Blaming it on your son.
It's true because he's been stealing stuff from me left and right. These action figures. I told you, he stole my Telly Savalas and used it. He could use his Tom Hardy as Picard. Okay. Anyway, enough. We've been doing this for hours now.
Yeah. Somewhere along there, it was a wraparound for Brent Spiner.
Oh, is that what this episode was?
Yes.
Yeah.
I forgot. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's get out of here. What do you say? Are we ready to get out of here?
I'm ready when you are.
Okay, so on behalf of Ashley Edward Miller, Darren Doctorman, myself, Mark A. Altman, keep on trekking, ingloriously, of course, and we'll see you next Thursday right here wherever you listen to podcasts.